Welcome to Fuzzy Road to Health. I'm Fuzzy D. To those who are attempting to demonize eating natural meat by stating cattle are contributing to global warming, others say we should not kill any animals for food. This is a science and logic-based response to those assertions. If you have someone coming at you about your choice to eat meat with these arguments, here is what you need to shut them down. You will find all this information and the matching links for quotes in the description below. Number of cattle worldwide in 2022 is estimated to be 1,009,690,000. A little research shows that previous to industrialization, there were many times this number of ruminant animals worldwide. Estimates show anywhere from 50 to 100 million bison in the USA alone. Another 30 million or so in Mexico and Canada. 60 to 80 million pronghorn sheep in North America. Tens of millions more other ruminants like deer, elk, moose, mountain goats, horses, etc. No, I'm not suggesting we eat horses, although many cultures do. This is about ruminant animals eating grass and other plants. It is more difficult to find solid numbers for the rest of the world at about 400 years ago. Suffice it to say, historically there were far more herbivorous animals than today. We did not have an abundance of methane destroying the atmosphere. A little science about methane from ruminants. Open quote, methane is much less dense than air and rises to the upper atmosphere quite readily. There it usually heats up and decays to carbon dioxide and water in an interaction with oxygen. There are several steps to this as well as some intermediaries, but I'm simplifying it. Close quote. What they are not saying is much of that methane reaching the upper atmosphere leaks out into space. Open quote. Instead of one compartment in the stomach, they have four. One of them, the rumen, allows them to store partially digested food and let it ferment. They later regurgitate the food and finish the digestive process. As grass and other vegetation ferments in the rumen, it produces the greenhouse gas methane, as well as a host of other byproducts. Incidentally, decomposing food in landfills does the same thing. The methane is then expelled by the cow, mainly through belching, but cattle also offer a chance to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and are able to act as upcyclers of foods we humans cannot consume. Close quote. Natural plant decomposition. Open quote. Anything that grows decomposes eventually. Composting simply speeds up the process by providing an ideal environment for bacteria, fungi, and other decomposing organisms, such as worms, sow bugs, and nematodes to do their work. The resulting decomposed matter, which often ends up looking like fertile garden soil, is called compost. Fondly referred to by farmers as black gold, compost is rich in nutrients and can be used for gardening, horticulture, and agriculture. Close quote. What they don't tell us. The same bacteria that decomposes plant matter naturally is also used by ruminants to ferment the plants they eat. This process creates the same amount of methane regardless of what process breaks it down. So the argument that cattle or other food animals contribute to global warming is false. Add to that, methane is lighter than air, so it can and does escape the atmosphere, or it is converted to CO2 and water before it can escape. This is how balance is maintained. This notion that CO2 will cause deserts to expand is totally false. The exact opposite is occurring. Open quote. In findings based on satellite observations, the Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organisation, which is Australia's national science agency and one of the largest and most diverse research agencies in the world, has collaborated with the Australian National University, ANU, and found that this 1982 to 2010 across parts of arid areas studied in Australia, North America, the Middle East, and Africa, apparently the deserts are getting greener. CO2 fertilization occurs when higher levels of carbon dioxide enable plants in their leaves during photosynthesis. Plants respond by creating more leaves and increasing overall cover in arid areas. Close quote. Global warming is a natural repeating cycle. Open quote. Like a prehistoric fly trapped in amber during dinosaurs' days, airborne relics of Earth's earlier climate, including dust, air bubbles, sea salts, volcanic ash, and soot from forest fires, can end up trapped in glacial ice for eons. To climate scientists, those relics tell a story about how our planet's climate and atmosphere have changed over thousands of years. What they find out could have an impact on worldwide civilization within a few generations, especially in coastal regions. Ice cores may reveal whether Antarctica's western ice sheet melted fully the last time Earth's climate warmed to the temperatures the planet is predicted to reach in the next 2 centuries. If it did, it's likely to again, which would raise sea levels significantly enough to threaten many seaside cities. We have some evidence that may have happened, but we aren't sure, says Eric Osterberg, who studies ice cores as an assistant professor in the Department of Earth Science at Dartmouth College. Close quote. This addresses the environmental concerns of ruminant animals. So why are they pushing this false narrative so hard? That is a loaded question. There are many possible motives, but all seems to lead back to a WEF agenda to gain full control of the world's populations. One way to achieve this is to control the food supply to force people into buying processed foods that keep the elites rich and us sick and needing medical treatment. This is what control looks like. If we want to continue this carnivore way of life, we will have to fight for it on every legal front. Another way they are trying to force us away from meat is by using climate change panic as leverage to get their way. Quote, "We are doing it for the good of the planet," close quote. Nothing could be further from the truth. Unfortunately, I can't go into it further here. Response to PETA. People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. Animal advocates and a group of vocal vegans are trying to turn the world against eating meat, citing cruelty to animals. Let's talk about animal slaughter, both for meat and animal destruction to grow plants. For those who accuse us of cruelty to animals to satisfy our taste for meat, let's talk about how many thousands of living creatures are killed per section of farmland for the sake of veggies and grains. Every time a farmer runs large equipment through the fields, cultivating, planting, pesticides, harvesting, etc., thousands of creatures are slaughtered or displaced. I grew up on a farm with 6 quarters of land, that's 1.5 square miles, so I know this from personal experience. By the time harvest comes around, every square foot of soil has dozens of little creatures living there, i.e. mice, voles, beetles, worms, birds, etc. You get the idea. Larger wandering ruminants also jump the fences, and if caught browsing on the farmer's fields, will be shot or driven away. So all these critters are killed several times during the year. First comes cultivation with a variety of equipment. This kills off or displaces all the creatures that nested in the stubble all winter. Then the crops are planted, again displacing and killing small animals. Once the crop gets growing, it is often sprayed with herbicides, poisons. This kills off many beneficial plants and important insects like honeybees, bumblebees, wasps, hornets, etc. These pollinators and scavengers are important to the ecosystem. Birds feeding on these dead insects get poisoned as well, causing birth defects and immune issues. Then comes the harvest. When the combines, or harvesters, cut and process the crops, the various creatures don't have time to escape, especially when you have 4 or 5 combines running staggered down the field. Harvesting animals for food that live on grass doesn't kill any creature other than the animal you're harvesting. How exactly is harvesting animals for food worse than all the animals destroyed for crops and veggies? You're telling us eating meat is cruel and we are murdering defenseless animals. Yet thousands of times more living creatures die for veggies and crops each year than will ever be slaughtered for food. Pretty hypocritical, don't you think? Yet another argument that can't stand up to scrutiny. Conclusions. Eating nose to tail is what our ancestors did for hundreds of thousands of years, especially during ice ages. There are still societies that live exclusively on animal products and have for thousands of years. Two examples are the Inuit in the Arctic and the Maasai tribe in Africa, and they are not the only ones. Animal products are ancestrally proven and appropriate. Modern chronic disease and obesity trends closely follow the rise in the use of highly processed foods, sugars, grains, and hydrogenated oils. These are all slow poisons for our bodies. Check out some of the videos in my relevant carnivore and keto links playlist. I recommend starting with Fat Fiction Full Movie. It's free. This documentary is shocking. If we want to be able to continue this carnivore lifestyle, we're going to have to fight for it using every legal means at our disposal. We have to fight disinformation being spread by small vocal groups trying to force their agenda upon us. Stay in contact with your local government representatives. Share your stories of recovery with as many as you can. Study the research. Be prepared to answer tough questions. Become an expert in this field. Always have links to research and informational video links that can be used to educate others. It is up to us to ensure we can continue this healing way of life. Thank you for your attention and good luck out there. We'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.